Um, yeah. Hold on. Today's topic, Man Up podcast, the feminization of black male. Or should I just say the feminization of black males? Plural. Maybe I will change it to make it plural. But why did I pick this? Because there's too much stuff going on in the media and social media, television, um, even in real life. You will not see my face on Man Up Mondays because it's about Judge Joe Brown. So it's a lot of feminization. A lot of black males, black boys are being portrayed as feminine. Um, a couple of things. So on the thumbnail, I have Saucy Santana. I have this rapper Little Wop who came out as supposed to be bisexual or something, but he didn't start off that way. He wanted to be a quote unquote rapper or gangster rapper, but now he's, cross dressing with no shame. So, and then of course, most recently, Ja Morant, that idiot. Ja moron, Ja Wick. Second time caught on social media flashing a gun, having fun. Yeah, sad situation, tragic, but he should know better. Stakes are high. You are a professional athlete. You have both parents in your life. You have lawyers, you have accountants, you have a publicist, you have an agent, the NBA players, your teammates, the owners. You supposedly went to some counseling with the first incident, whether that gun was registered or not, and it probably was. Let's just say if it was, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't have flashed the gun. You shouldn't have had a gun in your possession on social media playing around because it goes against your brand, the contracts that you signed, right? Um, so yeah, always on point with the topics. We definitely need these. Yes, we do need the conversations. And today we're going to do something a little different. So yes, I'm waiting for the judge to come on. Um, it takes him a minute because of his Wi-Fi. But I am going to open up the phone lines to have you guys call in. So the judge, he's going to, when he comes on, he's going to, speak to the feminization of Black males. I also have 8 guests coming on. I wanted to introduce him. I've been trying to get him to come up. Um, and I think I mentioned this before. I actually had him on before. It was just me and him, but I wanted him to come on a Man Up podcast Monday because this is specifically talking to men. But Dawood Walid, this is his book, Utuwa, I hope I'm saying it right, and raising males into sacred manhood, right? So I wanted to bring him up today, and I'm glad he was available. And we stayed on track with the time because of today's topic. What is going on with Black boys? First of all, what is going on with boys, men, males, period? People are not getting married. People are not thinking about marriage, family breakdown. It's a lot of things, right? I can't speak to it because I'm a woman. You need a man to speak to it. But before, well, still waiting on the damn judge to come up. As you know, he does have his barbecue sauce, so please go check it out. Go to his barbecue sauce website. Where is it? Not supposed to have this already up in queue. It was right here. jjbbbq.com. Yes, go and pick up your Judge Joe Brown barbecue sauce. Go to the website, purchase it. It's very delicious. It's very good. I don't use any other barbecue sauce except for his. So go check it out. It's good. Really, really good. And we also know that he's running for mayor of Memphis. So please go to his website, his mayor campaign website at jjb2023.com and sign up to the mailing list. Cash App, $ Judge Joe Brown 2023. That's $ Judge Joe Brown 2023. Judge Joe Brown 2023. That's his Cash App. Donate to the Cash App. Go to the website and sign up to the mailing list. If you would like to volunteer, please send them an email and support. Yeah, support his run for mayor of Memphis, Tennessee. So I wanted to get that in there before he comes up and before I forget. Um, Still waiting. He should be up any minute. So thank you, Cece. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And guys, please hit the like button. Please share this video. Um, Hi, Monica. Yeah. So like I said, I am going to have people call in if you would like to call in and talk about, actually, I want you to call in at ask the judge a question about men. This is mainly for the men and the young males to call in for guidance or, you know, sharing your ideas and your perspective. And then what the judge is going to do today, he's going to let you know if you have a feminine ideology or if you need to man up or if you already a man. So Yeah, but if you have a question, that's what the phone lines are for. Now, women, if you want to call in, I'm not gonna say don't call in women. Women could call in too, but it has to be around the topic of discussion, right? Because there are a lot of women who are raising young boys, and a woman cannot raise a boy into a man. But we could do our part, our job, being nurturing, loving and supportive. Um, so yeah, love you. Thank you, Monica. Appreciate you. How do we get the number? The number will be displayed across the screen at the bottom. And you could call in, and I'm going to put it in the chat as well. I'm going to put it in the chat. Uh, so yeah, I will display the phone number, and I will be putting a phone number in the chat to call in. I wanted to share something. I wanted to share this. So this is what I was talking about with Little Wop cross-dressing photo that went viral. Where is it's this, right? And this they I'll be a bad bitch if for you if you're the right one. Subscribe to my OF. I don't know what that is. OF. So this is apparently Little Wop. And he used to be Gucci Man's artist under Gucci Man's label. And this is kind of what he looked like before. But he did come out as being bisexual last year. So apparently, yeah, previously WAP came out as bisexual in 2022. In addition, the former protege of Atlanta rapper Gucci Man has publicly admitted to being attracted to feminine men and transgender women. Don't get me wrong, I ain't out here sucking no D or getting an F in the A or no S like that, but I'll make a nigga my bitch. What? No guidance. And then he also added, I'm masculine. So I'm a man king, something, masculine king, something, or a man eater king. I come from king's royalty. I like power. I ain't soft, sweet, none of that shit. I just wanted to put that out to the world so everybody welcome to come F with me. No, you're not from kings. You're not a king. You're not from royalty. Who told you that? Who told you that lie? Monica, thank you. Hi, Judge.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'll manage, even
I-
in a mad rush.
So, you in a rush?
I'll manage even in a mad rush.
Oh, well, um, so today's topic, spoke about this the other day, the feminization of the black male. I think I'm gonna change it to the feminization of black males. When we look at social media, when we look at the music industry, the movie industry, what is going on in society right now. In the thumbnail, I put up three people: Saucy Santana, this rapper Little Wop, and of course, Ja Morant. We have to talk about him. And to me, they all display feminine ways, right? And by the way, I did invite somebody to come up in about 15 minutes, a special guest. And like I told the audience, I'm going to open up the phone lines because that was your idea. And I think that was great to have people call in to ask you questions and you're going to tell them if they're feminine or not. So I want to bring this up to you, bring this to your attention real quick, right? Or do you want to just talk to the feminization of black males before I bring up certain things for you to speak on?
Well, yeah. Males are more interested in bling than anything else. That's a start. I mean, look at how they dress. They dress with their butts out, sagged and bagged. Yeah. They don't have man in them. That's why they can't control the violence. They haven't been taught how as men. They're masculine. They look at living off of ladies as a normal thing. They brag about pimping. That's not masculine. That's bunked out. So anyway, yeah, I'm not surprised. And we don't have any. Well, we don't deal with idolizing heroes anymore. We've got what folk who fake it
Mhm.
become famous, and people who entertain and distract us as being thing. How many people do we have out there that really have put it on the line?
Right.
We've got some, but we don't put them up. We put the fakes up. So faking it, that's not particularly manly.
They're faking to be manly. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, think about it. Who do we put up as our cadre of the famous men? Are they out in the field doing something? Are they the alpha male who actually does something for groups of men and women? Are they somebody who's got a way of entertaining rather than actually having done something? Now, there are a few we know, like Isaiah Washington. He's real deal. He's been in the service and on the screen. I'll listen to him. He's put it on the line. Uh, how many of the people are like that? Or do you just eat fried chicken and claim to be a preacher and don't have a pulpit except one supposedly given to you when you were 8 years old, like Chicken Sharpton? Or do you have lemon booty like Don? See, why we allowed these to be put up as leaders? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I guess your heroics get determined by how frequently you can use the N word in one sentence.
Right.
How many times you can use the N word in one sentence?
Well, why do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think that the feminization, specifically on black males, um, is that starting to be a trend? You know,
It's
and
been trending for years, but it isn't just black males. It's been across the whole spectrum, everybody. Some of us don't pay much attention to what else is going on around us. We don't have situational awareness. We don't watch our six,
Mhm.
90 or 100, 12 o'clock, we might see 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, definitely not 9 o'clock. And if you don't know what those points on the clock are, you illustrate the problem. So we can change it. Whole system has to change. It's become so sissified, it's pathetic. Uh, in other words, everything has to be something you like. That's not how men work.
Why do you think that society is trying to feminize Black men?
Not just black men, it's trying to emasculate men, and black men just happen to be the least programmed with masculine trends. So it is what it is. Too
Why
much
is
of we got too deep into, instead of having a check to help support babies, some of the ladies or the women, the females, had babies to support themselves with a check. So that started off. You had no man in the home, and then shortly none in the neighborhood. And that's why we have so many violent problems in the hood, is we have too little manhood in the hood.
Yeah,
That
but we
is a
have
problem.
how do you get more manhood in the quote unquote hood in the community?
Doing what I'm doing right now. See, when you don't have the father in the home, the community's supposed to stand in, and when the community doesn't step up, then it fails. Everything fails. And sometimes what has to happen is the real men have to say, hell no, let's speak out. We're not supporting this sissified nonsense anymore. Let's man the hell up and then act men. You have to take risk. And then the interesting thing is the more unmanly somebody is, particularly in our community, the more likely they are to say somebody like me is controversial,
Mhm.
meaning it as an insult. Yeah, I like him. He's controversial. He expands an envelope. That's one thing. Oh my God, he's so controversial. You know, you need to stay away from him. No, you need to follow somebody like that. We have those kind of people around, but we just get either shoved in the shadows, which isn't cool, or somebody puts a veil over them so nobody can see them.
Okay, so but what what happens if there are men in a household or men in a community, but then you look at the music, a lot of times young people
Damn the music. You don't let the people in your house listen to it.
but a lot of but young people go outside and
Well, control them, raise them. Uh, that was take dogs. You can take a dog, small one, big one, medium sized one, and if you raise the dog right, he's sociable. He's like people. If you don't, then he becomes a pest. I've seen 300 people in a watering hole after some things have been going on all day. People drinking hard and 25, 30 dogs, and the dogs are just as well behaved as the people because they were trained. They got raised right. Meanwhile, you have those dogs that you can't even let get near anything because they're out of control. It's the same thing. You don't raise the child, you don't get an adult that is worth a damn. Maybe they can overcome it themselves, but they have lifelong problems. So we sort of let the children grow as weeds without doing the pruning and the adjusting and the nurturing and the things you need to do to get something productive.
Mhm. Why do you think now most people are not getting married, particularly? And I kind of want to
That's part of the problem.
I'm zoning in on Black males because it's not enough attention. Not saying that this is not happening to other groups because it is, but the problem is there's no attention being flashed on Black males and the problems that are going on with them. And
That that's
so,
part of the big picture that's been going on for the last 50 years. Somehow or another, female empowerment has been hooked up with not being married because marriage is viewed by some sickos as a form of slavery. It's not. It's the normal human institution. It's been going on since day one by all cultures, all places. So all of a sudden it's bad. So this misconception, this sickness that says it's empowering to be single, which is crap because the women aren't very happy these days either. And somehow or another, this thing of we must find men their proper place. Well, you're safe enough to be able to talk that nonsense now, but it won't last long. Another generation, maybe, and then it's going to hit the fan. We have a lot of people on this planet. It's never been this crowded before. It's not just an incremental thing, it's a qualitative thing.
Yeah.
So it's too many people, too few resources, and the shit's about to hit the fan. We've got global warming, seas are rising, 40% of the people live next to oceans, and they're going to be having a problem, and food production is going to get iffy, and we have too many people saying they're entitled to be taken care of rather than having the obligation to be productive. So the things we choose to spend what will become ever increasingly limited funds on is going to become problematic.
So,
I had a fun filled and interesting, exciting life, but I won't be around to see it.
well, the thing is, you have fun in your youth, and then when it was time for you to get serious, whether it was your career, family, you did those things, right? It's
Now,
like
look,
a rite of passage.
youth for humans is usually spent taking high risk for a purpose. When you have proven yourself and you have demonstrated the wisdom to survive that tumult, then you become uh, respected as a mature individual in your human society, and then you become a respected elder. So it has always been the task of youth to take the risk because youth are expendable. There is a whole lot of them, and most of them wind up in situations or wound up in humanity's history in situations that can be characterized in a military context as cannon fodder. In other words, they took the bullets and the shells and everything else, and you could expend so many of them before you achieved your objective. That's the way it's always been in human history. They were the inexperienced hunters that were anxious to prove themselves by taking dares and risks to show how brave they were and to show their prowess with their spears and arrows and clubs and put food on the table or put scalps on the lodge pole. So
Oh,
that's effectively all through humanity. And now we've gotten, they don't even want to be men anymore. They want to be blue. And
didn't
wait a
it?
minute, they want to be blue and sit in bubble bath and sell bud to you, Anheuser-Busch, which, by the way, turns out not to even be an American company anymore.
Mhm. Okay, so why are we not raising our sons and daughters to want to get married and have a family? Usually people who have like a strong religious household, like my grandchildren, they're Muslim, right? And they're raised Muslim. So they go to a Muslim school, they are being not groomed, but they're being prepared for marriage, definitely the girls. But even with Muslim boys and just men, males, period, men could wait because you could have babies for the rest of your life. So it's really no biological clock on men. But it's even more, but at one point in time, that was instilled in everyone to get married and have a family to where it ceased. And just going back to the feminization of men, to counter that is to have dad in the household, is to have men in a community. But if you're not
See,
told
here's the thing.
family, how can you do that?
Here's the thing. You have to do it from outside. It takes a village to raise a child. If the village ain't shit, ain't nothing gonna happen with the children except they won't be shit either.
Right.
So you have to rise to the occasion. Now, here is the bad point. See, children, human children, physiologically, psychologically, are most responsive to the female parent until they get a bit over 7 going on 8. That's been the case for that's innate in us.
Hmm.
No getting around it. So if this parent to whom the child is most receptive basically has a negative attitude toward the child because of the child's gender, then that's a bad situation. Now, let's take an extreme example. The Spartans. Spartan mothers are historically, mythologically, actually deep into having told their sons a catchphrase: son, come back with your shield or on it, do or die. Now, if the mother put that into the boy's head as he's growing up and the society raised the boy to be tough, enterprising, resilient, reliant, and on himself, you get great warriors, you get Thermopylae, the 300,
Hmm.
self-sacrifice, dedication to a cause. But if you go around, oh baby, you you bruised your knee, oh cry, mommy knows it hurts, or you fill the boy up with self-hatred, that's not good. Another thing is, I found this. See, if you are a boy and you're hanging around with dad and uncles and their friends, you hear, oh yeah, women are immature, they all do that. They just get, you got to work around it. Yeah, they never really grow up, blah, 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 blah. They're childish and everything else. So you hear the men say that and you go, yeah, I'm a man. Okay. And you hear your mother's aunts and their friend girls, they'll start talking about what's wrong with the men. But see, you take sides and you take the man's side and you become indulgent. We have to indulge the women because they stay childlike and they're emotional and all of that. That's what we got taught. And you took that side, but you also knew it was your honor and obligation to protect them and provide for them. Nowadays, all they hear is the poison coming out of the beauty salon because there's no dad, no uncle, no stepdad, no granddad to take them around the guys. And they grow up absorbing all of this negativism about what they are supposed to be about. And it's poisonous. That's how they get conditioned. Now, I used to conduct classes where the people in them were females who had children, male children in the public school system between 13 and 17. Well, you couldn't tell the mothers of the younger ones anything because they knew it all, but the ones who had children who had past puberty and now were getting taller than them, bigger than them, stronger than them, they understood it and they'd say, you better listen. So what I'd do is I'd let them talk when they first came to class or the first few classes. And they'd start talking basically, Judge, we don't understand what we here for. I
Hmm.
hear you, friend girl. Yeah, man ain't good for nothing anyway, except one thing. I hear you, friend girl, blah, blah, blah. And I let them talk for a while. Then I said, okay, stop. Why are you here? You want your boys to grow up to be men. Yeah, we want to be men. We don't want to be no sissy. I said, well, how the hell are you going to raise the boy to be a man if you don't know what they're supposed to be good for when they get grown?
Right.
Bam. Okay, now listen, and you will find out, and you will get some instruction on how to do it, how to rectify the mess you've already created.
Good.
And the military says the same thing too. 2011, the Pentagon had a flurry of white papers. They said, we can make you physically strong, but we can't make you mentally tough because you have to come in here mentally tough.
Right.
And there are not enough fathers in the American households to do that. They're coming in here too soft. They found that in 2011, 12 years ago, they said 42% of Americans 35 and under, all races and ethnicities combined, are born out of wedlock. So they don't have the masculine thing around to show them how to be tough. And our recruits suffer. So we can make them physically strong, but the mentally tough part is a different kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, it is
Um,
what it is.
all right. So our guest is here. I want to bring him up, talk to him for a little bit, and then I'm gonna open up the phone lines. And I highlighted a couple of comments that I saw in the live chat that I found interesting. Miriam is one of them. So let me bring up hi Dawood.
Hey, how you doing, Dana? How you doing, Judge?
All right, so
So did I say your name right? Dawood Walid?
Yes, yeah, you
Okay.
got it right.
So this is Mr. Dawood Walid. I've been wanting him to come on the podcast for a minute, but he has a busy schedule as well, Judge. But this is his book, Futua,
Yeah, it's pronounced Fatua.
Futua, and raising males into sacred manhood. So tell us a little bit about the book and the title.
So the word Fatua basically means sacred chivalry. It's a concept that stretches from West Africa all the way to the east to Malaysia in relationship to a code of honor and rites of passage in which young males who are coming out of adolescence are brought into masculinity and manhood by instilling certain virtues into them through embodiment of male role models, taking them through certain types of rigor and discipline in which a male can't be a man without going through some sort of rigor and discipline and structure. And there are 5 steps to this training. And then afterwards, then these young males are presented in front of the community as recognized as being men, in which they are expected to act accordingly based upon community expectations. So
Mhm,
that's basically what the term Fatua uh,
mhm.
talks about, or what it sums up.
And so, is this is something that is practiced in your community, or is this something that you want to see just throughout all communities? Because in the book, I think you did highlight that it's particularly in Muslim community that the men are not marrying as a higher rate as that one would think, or they're waiting longer now to get married. You're starting to see that.
Yeah, so it's not as high as in the broader African American community, but we are seeing a lot of the young brothers are starting to delay getting marriage. Thank God they're not getting off into the rainbow mafia thing as much as the broader society, but nonetheless, it's an issue, and I've heard the judge talk about several times. But you know, males learn how to be men through seeing men actually be men. So when there's issues of uh, young males living in households with women, there's no husband around, there's no male role models or figures that he's put underneath the discipline of, then uh, this produces mama's boys. And then the young man is quite comfortable just lounging around on his mama's sofa in the basement, coming up on 30 years old, got a little part-time job and just playing Xbox and doesn't want to take on any manly responsibility because he's been pampered through too much feminine energy, right? So that's just a general, broader societal problem. But we see it amongst ourselves here, and this is why I work with some of the brothers in Detroit on the West Side, and we do mentorship, primarily for young Muslim males, but also anyone who comes in who's not Muslim, and we've had people come in from the Black community in general. Then we work with them, and we have activities that we put them in or work with them, martial arts,
Mm.
archery, teaching them proper etiquettes of how to deal with elders. And it's the structure that helps man them up.
Right. Did you want
That's good.
to? I'm sorry.
That's really good. By the way, the one thing that is difficult to put in rites of passage these days is an element of danger.
Yep.
See, part of this whole thing, when you have a rite of passage, is does the candidate for manhood possess the requisite amounts of courage and physical bravery? And that's kind of missing today. I
Definitely, and
mean,
that's part of it.
somebody pushes his rite of passage, which he heard me talk about rites of passage, but not the way he puts it. Going out and spending the night in the woods is not a rite of passage because there's nothing dangerous out
Well, what if you spent the whole week on a trail? Um,
there. Can you die?
well, you out in the woods, yeah.
Well, if there's a realistic
I mean, you're
possibility,
not staying at one spot, but you're
well,
traveling,
I
but it's in
understand
the
as long
woods
as
on the
the
trail.
rite of has some element where there is a physical threat, you could get seriously injured or die, then it becomes realistic. That used to be one of the elements in things like playing football. You could get killed, you could get badly injured. So, to an extent, if you put yourself in that rough and tumble, mix them up, took risk of the injuries and got a few, then yeah, okay. Everybody knew you could die. That was part of the attraction. Now they've softened it up so much that, oh my God, somebody might get bruised.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
No.
going back to what the judge said, so like that's part of my journey. Besides having elders in my community, I played football from elementary school up until my freshman year at Virginia Union University, HBCU in Richmond, Virginia. Then I was in the military in the U.S. Navy from '94 to '98, and I was in hostile uh, combat zones
Well,
on
you've done it.
occasions. But then afterwards, I was in West Africa in 2 different years, in Mali, a country in West Africa, off the on the border of Burkina Faso. So the Malian Empire, Mansa Musa, for historical reference for the viewers. And I saw from the Dogon tribe the rites of passage of how they took the young men out into rural area, away from the village, no food, no water, 10 days of being out in the middle of nowhere where you're facing animals and you have to go out. You're not eating unless you go and get your own food, right? They're not bringing out all these supplies. And then there's a circumcision ceremony at the end. And then when you come back, you're recognized as being a man. Now, this whole thing about manhood there, when you're 15 years old, you're recognized as a man. There's no delayed adolescence. Well, it's like calling a 20, 21-year-old boy a man or young man, my baby. No, when you're 15, you come back to the village, you're seen as a young man, you're expected to act accordingly, and they are actually start to marry at that age, which actually did not used to be uncommon for our people down south back in the day. Our people, my granddaddy's about to turn 97 years old. He's down in York County, Virginia. I mean, he was 19 when he got married to my grandmother when she was 16. That was common, back in the day, but now we have delayed adolescence amongst our people.
I
Yeah.
wanted to I wanted to bring in one of the trending topics. Listen, the elephant that's all over social media, Ja Morant. Let me let me just bring. I want to share a couple of clips regarding that. Well, I had this person, Saucy Santana, in my on the thumbnail. And I'm not, this is not going at him because he's always been this way since he was a kid.
That's a dude.
Yeah, he's a rapper. He's always been his way. He's living his life. He's, whatever the case may be. Um, but it's a difference when you have someone who was raised a boy, but then chooses to be feminine or bisexual, or you know what I'm saying, or do whatever it is to be that they have to do to be in a entertainment industry, which is,
I have to do that to be in entertainment.
no, you don't, but they
Choice.
think they do because somebody
No,
tells them
that's
that they
a
do.
choice. That's a choice. They like to rely on that as they made me do it.
All right, so
He
job,
looks like Faison. He looks like Faison Love in the dress.
yeah, get to this thing. I'm gonna have to go out. But what do you guys think about the John Morant situation? The second incident that he's had with the gun flashing. Now he's suspended.
From the Grizzlies. I'm in Memphis. Yeah, real dumb move. It's a childish move, and it's even on a accelerated level. What he's looking for is fame, but it's not the way to get it. But we, in ignorance, bestow fame on such things. I will give you one thing that bothers the hell out of me. It's 1967. The Bay Area Panther Party chapter was in some heated negotiations with the LA area Panther Party, also some of the Black Student Union membership and Black Student Alliance around the state. And they had been saying that they were going to march into the California state legislative body armed. And we were saying, don't do that. It's a dumb move. It's just grandstanding and what we called adventurism. But they wanted the PR brothers walk in armed to show that they armed, and no, you don't need to do that. And they were trying to raise money, and what our objective was is some of us were going out patrolling the community, so there would be 3 or 4 of us riding deep in a car, big cars then, and we'd have riot guns, 18-inch barrel, 12 gauges, and carbines generally. And when the police were acting out of line, we'd pull up, park behind them. There was nothing they could do because we were legal to be armed, loaded weapons in public. As soon as these idiots did that, they got Huey Newton in a basket weave throne, which made a great picture. And it made good PR, and they raised the money they wanted for operations on the front thing. But within days almost, they came up with legislation making it illegal now to walk around with a loaded long gun in public in California, which gave LAPD, Oakland PD, and some other places, we won't go into it, the excuse to go stop any of the armed patrols. And there were a lot of shootouts, and a lot of people died because of demonstrate masculinity in a false way. And he decides he's going to go perpetrate. And what he does is he's not talking about stand up and be a power. He's talking about be a thug. That's what the whole thing is. He's trying to maintain his own self concept, and it's not working. And he got jacked. And what did he do? nothing. All right.
And
So
he's a multimillionaire. He's now suspended, and I think the
his
rest.
mama probably got most of his money. I'd be hazarding.
Well, there is an interesting story about the mama. I'll get to that later in the show, but I just want to bring up a couple of more clips.
The best apologists change behavior. And when he was going through all this diatribe about what he learned about being away from the game, Skip, and how important it was to him, I say, I see better than I hear. I heard everything y'all said. Now I say, now moving forward, I'm going to see if the behavior meets what he said. And clear, right on. And so at this point in time, Skip, where I am, I'm not even upset at y'all. I'm not mad. I'm not disappointed. I'm not embarrassed. I'm mad. I'm upset. I'm disappointed. I'm disgusted by the people that defended him. Because that's what got us here. That's what got us here, Skip. Oh, man, Shadow, you hating on Ja. You or Uncle Tom, you rucker, you fuck that.
I don't know who this is.
The same people that Ja in the comments, that Ja be liking.
Oh, these are Twitter.
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Not Grizzlies.
No.
Okay.
The clicks and the mentions and the likes, why he does everything that he does. Skip, I need somebody to tell me the fascination he has with guns and feel that he needs to be on IG. I said before.
So, Ja Morant, you like to play with guns, huh, boy? You like to play with guns, huh, boy? You like to play with guns. So instead of you just being in your house, buying all the guns you want, playing with all the guns you want off camera, you want to get in trouble for having a gun at a club, give a bullshit apology, and then show a gun on Instagram Live. I've heard of NBA young boy, but you NBA dumb boy. You got to be the dumbest motherfucker in the league. You got $231 million promised to you, and you want to be a thug? Yeah, it's okay for you to have a gun. You have you have a right. You have a Second Amendment right to have a gun. But what the fuck do you keep pulling it out menacing for? What is up with all this music you keep listening to? Is this music putting you in a trance, dumb boy? Because this music is about to cost you your career. You're going to be bouncing around with all day long, just listening to music in the backyard of a goddamn shack if you keep on being a jacket. You was an NBA dumb boy, and your friends ain't your goddamn friend. Because I done dumb shit before, and you know when I noticed a real friend, they're going to tell you when you wrong, and then they ain't going to argue with you, but they just not going to participate and go with you in the bullshit. See, a real friend don't keep telling no man over and over and over what's right and what's wrong. You just tell them, and you let them make their own decision. But you don't, I wouldn't be the friend in the car next with you recording you doing something stupid. So Ja Morant.
So that was Kwame. He actually went viral with that.
Well, I agree with him. And see, the other posture here is if somebody you don't know if the person's armed, that's one thing. But this is where I live. I've charged many a jury, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in assessing the reasonableness of the defendant's behavior and killing his assailant. You may look to the defendant's knowledge, if any, of the victim's propensity or the assailant's propensity to be armed and or dangerous or possessing a reputation for violence or dangerousness. So he's posturing, I got my pistol, I got my shit, and if somebody confronted him and popped the cap on him and took him out, he said, well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've been flashing he's armed. I assumed he was. He's been putting on like he's all, with the gat and everything else. And he's setting himself up for somebody who is cold and ruthless to take him out. Right. See, nothing wrong with saying, I think the Second Amendment is what it is. And in Tennessee, there's a constitutional carry thing, which says if you're eligible to buy, you're eligible to carry. You don't need a permit. You can carry. So he's not upholding. He's just being a damn fool.
Did you want to comment on that?
Damn fool who is jeopardizing his ability to do what he needs to do. And for what? Memphis is where he is now, just happens to be currently the murder capital of the United States of America. So this damn fool is perpetrating, going around playing thug when he ought to be taking his opportunity to be a man and show how that's done. And this is what I was talking about. We have no heroes who are real heroes. We got a lot of fakes.
Did you want to
Question for you, Dana. Is Ja, is he single or is he married?
No, he's single.
That's what I thought. See, if he was married and had some responsibility, had a real woman by his side, he wouldn't be out, number one, acting so foolish. I don't think, like 9 times out of 10. Number two, as the judge said, and Memphis is a dangerous place, but just in general, you can tell by how he's holding that gun. He don't know how to carry no gun. He don't know how to shoot. And somebody gonna come up on him and test him. And I mean, we know what's happened to rappers and other people, high-profile people in Memphis who've been taken out. And he's asking for trouble. So what he just needs to do is sit down somewhere. Hopefully he can get back in the league, put his stop trying to play gangster. And if his and again, part of the problem is his mama, right? Because his mama is what type of person that helped breed him and breed that type of behavior in him, which I'm sure you're gonna get to.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up real quick before I open up the phone line. So John Morant's mom allegedly had him and his 9 friends threaten a shoe salesman after helping white customers not having her size. So the incident was reported July 2022. That was made new report outlines more worrisome details that include Morant's mother. The incident reportedly involved a member of Morant's group allegedly shoving a security director in the head and stemmed from a confrontation in the Finish Line shoe store. Morant wasn't the one who started the fuss. Instead, it was his NBA star's mom, Jamie Morant. Jamie Morant's name was listed by police as unknown in the report. So maybe that's why it was not made public last year when it happened. Now, shoe salesman Javon Bussey has shared his side of the story. So Busby, who is Black, explained that a customer in the store became angry with him after he helped 2 white women before her. The customer then became even more irritant after the 22-year-old informed her that the store didn't have the size she was after. According to the Post report, she began following him around and yelling, saying she would call her son. Busby said he didn't know who the woman's son was until Ja Morant and 9 of his friends showed up. Where's the short guy with the dreads? That's Morant kept shouting. I'm going to wait until you get off work. I thought, oh, he's really trying to get me. This is what the salesperson said, like he's trying to hurt me. So he told police that it was Ja Morant, the most famous and recognizable person in Memphis, as a member of the group who threatened him, but his name was not listed as a suspect in the report. So basically, Ja Morant's mom.
See that shit, the most famous and recognized person in Memphis. I wouldn't know what the hell he looked like if I saw him right now, except I'm looking closely. So if I see a fool who's been known to perpetrate imposture and threaten violence, I'll know who to expect.
Right.
And see, why is that? He's not the most famous person in Memphis.
No, isn't
You know,
Elvis?
most people never even heard of his ass, but you see, they push that. He's a dumbass. And I live here and I'm calling him a dumbass. And I hope he runs into me. I'll tell him he's a dumbass, but I'll straighten him out if he listens. Now, I'll say that.
Right. So
I'm going to be the mayor of this damn town. And we're not going to have that kind of shit. The police aren't going to shield him anymore. Maybe he might want to see the mayor in this town as boss over the police. That shit ain't going to happen anymore.
Well, his mom, right?
And his mom, damn it, I know the type. Oh man, I know the type. For 50 years in this town, I've been dealing with that type. My baby a good boy. Well, hell, lady.
No, but
What do you
why
mean,
would you
good
put
boy?
your
He ain't never
son?
given me no problem. He always done what I want. Well, wait a minute, lady. You want the court to reduce his bond because you can't make the 5th damn bond episode this year? And he's 19 years old and he's got 37 felonies since he's been 15. What the hell is wrong with you?
And then his mom put him in that. Why would she put him in that predicament, in that situation, knowing that your son is an NBA player? But the fact is that why, even if your son wasn't an NBA player, why would you want your son to threaten someone? He could have
Yeah, I
gotten it.
mean, because hell, what is her problem? She wants to achieve something through her son that is not going to happen because she didn't know what to teach him. You don't do that kind of crap. So teach him restraint. I mean, if you have something to say, say it. Make a complaint. Why don't you have the shoe size? You get the explanation, take your ass out. There are Finish Line stores all over Memphis. Hell, my headquarters is right next to a Finish Line shoe store. Right next, literally walk out and walk next door
So getting back to the
in a
topic,
mall.
and incorporating John Morant, um, Judge, you did say earlier that mothers play a part with the feminization of Black males. So can you two speak to that? And I'm going to drop the phone link for people to call in.
Young brother, go right ahead. And thank you for doing what you did or do.
Appreciate you, Judge. And when you win, I'll fly out there to the inauguration, see you get sworn in. I actually
I
have.
might do for some consultation to get this place to man up because yours truly is going to be down there up close and personal and doing what I did some years ago.
I'll come out there with you.
Yeah.
I did a program at the Midtown Mosque last year in Memphis where we did a weekend program with the young men out in that community in Memphis. But getting back
By the way, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Judge.
And Sula ala akbar.
Mashallah. In relationship to what we're talking about, I think that there's a trend going on here, and we just didn't get here out of nowhere. And I've heard the judge talk about this history before. But if we look back even like to 1965 in statistics, that 76% of Black children were born in wedlock. If we go back even further before, back then around the World War II, Black people were actually more likely to be married than white folks in the United States of America. And our out of wedlock birth rate was very low. When we flip it and look at right now, it's inverse. 74% of Black children are born out of wedlock. In my city in Detroit, it's actually 81%. So now we are working on the third generation where we have men who didn't know their fathers, who now have children and sons who didn't know their fathers, who are now becoming teenage fathers themselves, right? So when we look at the lack of manhood and this over feminization of the males, when men, or males, I should say, because all men are males, but all males aren't men. And that goes to the so-called transgender. Ain't no such thing as no man with XX chromosomes. That's a lie. You have this feminine energy in which you have moms who basically treat their sons or put their sons in the role as like a husband. So like this is what she did, right? Like she had a problem, and knowing that her son makes $230 million as a guaranteed contract, instead of she had a problem with another man, as women normally do, and call their man or calls their husband, she did what? She called her son, who has a whole bunch of feminine energy, and then brings up his whole crew playing gangster. Instead of a real man would step man to man if somebody were to check or disrespect their woman. But again, that's not his woman, that's his mom. But a lot of this, I believe, has to do with these moms raising up these young men to have a whole bunch of feminine energy, and they were really never taught how to be real men from real upright men that embody true masculinity, true honor, true dignity, and true courage.
Right. We do have a caller. Let me bring.
And I bet you a good chunk of his change is going to his mama. Some years ago, we had a show idea. And what we were doing is getting some of these young Black celebrities and athletes who had gotten into financial trouble from having spent too much of their money. We found that it wasn't their girlfriends that were spending it, it was their mamas. So first thing we had to do was wean him off of his mama and let him grow up and get mama in check so she wouldn't beg and demand. And many times when I was dealing with that arbitration on my show for 15 years, the mother would be in there demanding the money be, but no, it's not going to you. It's going to a trust fund when this boy turns man. And when he gets 25, then it'll go to him, not you. But we wouldn't have nothing if it wasn't for me.
I want to bring.
One point here. One of the problems is I can recall when I first started practicing law 50 years ago in Memphis, and I was not here long before I wound up being the director of the public defender's office. And a lot of my white employees were scared to go talk to Black defendants. And I went out and started dealing with it. I started seeing this poison develop. The use of the N-word proliferating after it had basically disappeared. And I remember in the early 90s, I was on the bench and I had the first of a family in my courtroom, and it wound up with just one or two, then it was 3, 4, and it got to be huge in terms of the number. I mean, this woman between 1995 and 96 and 2000 went from having 1 week 342 lineal descendants. 2 weeks later she had 358, and by the time we got 4 years later she had 3,400 lineal descendants, and all of them were dysfunctional damn near.
All right, I want to bring this caller in,
and they did not know how to be men.
all right, I want to bring this caller in. 469, can you hear me?
Yes. Am I echoing or anything like that?
No.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, good. Good. What I want to say is I feel like this about him. It feels like he is trying to, in some kind of way, compensate for a life that he never had. So this is his form of rite of passage. So he's acting in a certain type of way that is idiotic, in my opinion. And if you look at his father's around him sometimes. And from what I'm assuming is his parents raised him as if he was their friend. And that's an issue that some of these parents, when they raise their children, they don't raise their children to be civil in a community or even have a certain type of respect. And this is what you're seeing. You're seeing being acted out right now in front of us is how he's acting. He acts like he has no structure whatsoever. And he just does anything.
So I'm going to ask you, do you have a question that's related to the topic, or do you want to say something that's related to the topic, the feminization of the Black male?
That was.
Feminization.
No, he was talking about John Morant, but I get it.
Yeah.
But, which is still related overall, but I didn't know.
I'm not going to say that he's feminine, but I'll say that when it comes to feminization of Black men, that's key for this structure. Because for Black men to be effeminate, that means that nobody can be a revolutionary. They have to automatically kill that testosterone in us to fight back. So whatever they have planned behind closed doors, it can come into fruition with us being just restrained by being effeminate. Does that make sense?
You're giving him an excuse he doesn't need to have. It's a character issue. He hasn't had
I'm not
character
giving
put in
any
him.
excuse.
And see, he could get wasted very easily in Memphis. It happens all the time. Quite frequently, they got upset with one kid that 5 rogue young cops beat up. He died of the beating. They were targeting him for personal reasons. It wasn't police work, but they talked about him. But there are 600 going on 85 or 90 families that have lost people in Memphis in the last couple of years. So, yeah, there's a lot of quick ways for him to die, and perpetrating like that is a good way for somebody to take him out.
Well, thank you, caller. I appreciate you calling in.
He wants to play
Before,
thug.
before
But yeah, I get you.
um,
That's not
Wait,
feminization is
caller, I need
key
you to
for
speak
war.
up.
I want to say feminization is key for war. So that's what people need to understand as well. It's a war tactic.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Uh-huh.
All right, another caller I see. 276. Hello.
Hi, Dana. This is Michelle Judge. Good to see you and your guest, Mr. Waleed. Your book, I'm going to buy that book. I'm interested in reading that. I have a statement and a question. You know, it's likely that when she sent those people in to that store, she was sending them in to harm or to harass other Black people. So, you know, she is essentially raising or has raised a predator, right, to prey on his own people. And I think that's something that bothers me or scares me even more, right? But I had a question for your guest and for the judge. You know, I put a note. I don't think we've had a good time span, probably 80s, 90s, where we've had a real effort to deal with Black psychology. And I wonder if we just need to, not everybody's going to make it, we know that, but I wonder if you find serious people that care about this, if we should consider being more insular as a people and promoting really dealing with the Black psychology. Because, you know, if you're talking about a feminization of men, you know, it doesn't matter what we say, it doesn't matter, you know, how many panels we have, until we deal with the root or the psychology of what's causing this. I mean, on a real deep level, we're seeing the symptoms right now. Like there's a real problem with our people, and we can't. I don't think we can fix it using more westernized philosophy, if that makes sense. And I just wonder what you, Judge, and Mr. Waleed think about that approach. Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Mr. Waleed.
Well, there's an old saying that when white folks catch a cold, Black people get pneumonia. That's an old saying, right? So these trends have gone all throughout society as far as a feminization and emasculation, which I believe is a type of social engineering. And I mean, and also let's not rule out capitalism. You know, there's a 2020 report by Wide Tech Communications that said that LGBTQ in America through corporations a 1.1 trillion business, $1.1 trillion business, right? So it's literally the purpose of capitalism is to introduce things and feed appetites as new ways of developing new products to make money and suck people in. So there's a monetary thing in this as well. But, you know, when we're talking about not having Western mindsets or Western philosophies, you know, in my opinion, that because of the erosion of masculinity over generations, that now we have a bunch of Black leaders that have either sold themselves out to the woke or so-called progressive organizations, progressive foundations, And then we have religious organizations, in particular the Black church, who caters towards feminized narratives, right? They're not talking about masculinity, standing up, taking responsibility, preaching against sinful behavior from men or being dishonorable, going around having 5 baby mamas. It's a feel-good prosperity gospel. So those institutions that used to speak to our people, I would never say psychologists were the main thought leaders of the Black community, though we've had the likes of sociologists like W.E.B. Du Bois, or we've had more recently Dr. Naeem Akbar, who wrote the book Breaking the Psychological Chains of Slavery. But it's been, our activist community and intellectuals, as well as the Black church and our religious leaders. So when we have organizations that get funded, like the NAACP, that gets foundation money from Open Society Foundation and organizations that are pushing LGBTQ ideology and gender confusion. And then you have the Black church that won't say anything about masculinity and moral issues. Then we're in the situation that we're in now where, Black folks are confused, especially Black males. That's my take.
I see us in the beginning of a quasi-religious war. We had the debacle of the Crusades in the Middle Dark Ages, beginning of the Middle Ages. We had Protestant Reformation resulting in so-called 100-Year War. And I think we're about to engage in rainbow wars, where you've got a religion without a deity, but a philosophy that is being imposed as an official state religion, meaning of the United States of America. You can't see a crescent, you can't see a cross, you can't see the Hebrew star, you can't see anybody else's religious symbols on a government building or in the city hall. But you can see a rainbow flag right under the American flag, and they're pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. Now, is it a religion? Well, let's look at Buddhism. There's not really a deity for Buddhism, all right? It's a secular thing. It's a way of approaching life, and that's what you get with LGBTQ. It's a cult. It's not just gay people, because just because you're Black doesn't mean you are a Black Baptist. You see, just because you are a Christian doesn't mean you supported Reverend Jim Jones and drinking Kool-Aid at picnics in Guyana, or Branch Davidian, or if you're Islamic, you support ISIS or Al Qaeda. It doesn't see. So they have the cults. And I see this effort by the United States government to spread this sick cult all over the planet is going to result in something really nasty, because right now, China, Russia, a lot of Africa are unifying in this opposition to that rainbow cult that the U.S. keeps insulting them with, where they keep trying to slip money in to promote it, to display that rainbow flag at embassies and consulates all over the world and insult face people, spit in their faces, saying our new religion is going to be yours whether you like it or not. And that is the worst kind of hubris. And it's going to make some people pay for it. But